Now, ladies, listen to me carefully. I've been around long enough to tell you this plain and simple. Men love a woman who detaches. Let me tell you why. Because when a woman is not pressed, not chasing, not begging, she becomes the prize. And every real man wants the prize, not the pursuer, not the desperate. If there's one thing a man can't ignore, it's a woman who knows her worth and isn't afraid to walk away. I'm not talking about playing games or trying to act like you're better than somebody. I'm talking about genuine confidence. I'm talking about that quiet strength that says, I love you, but I don't need you to breathe. That's powerful, that's magnetic, and that's what men are drawn to. See, a lot of women think that the more they show how much they care, the more they prove their loyalty, the more a man is going to appreciate them. But let me break it to you straight. Appreciation doesn't come from overextending yourself. It doesn't come from chasing behind a man, blowing up his phone, trying to prove that you're the one. No, ma'am. That's not how it works. Real talk, men are hunters by nature. We respect what we have to work for. We value what doesn't come easy. And if a woman is too available, too eager, too ready to give herself without any standard, we start seeing her as less valuable. Not because she's not valuable, but because she doesn't act like she is. Now, a woman who detaches, who doesn't beg, doesn't plead, doesn't argue, doesn't get out of pocket trying to keep a man, that woman is unforgettable. She's the one we think about when the room gets quiet. She's the one that makes us say, damn, I really had something solid, because that woman had standards. That woman had boundaries. And that woman has something a lot of people don't have today, self-respect. When a woman is willing to walk away, not in anger, not in revenge, but in peace, that's different. That ain't drama. That ain't toxic. That's strength. And every real man out here knows that strength in a woman is what builds a home, builds a life, builds a legacy. You can't build anything stable on neediness. But when a woman brings peace, self-worth, and her own identity to the table, a man can't help but be drawn to her. She becomes the prize. And let me say this real clear. Men don't chase what's chasing them. We chase what challenges us. We chase what inspires us. We chase what doesn't need us, but chooses us. That's the difference right there. And I know some of y'all are thinking, well, if I don't chase him, won't he forget about me? Let me tell you something, baby. If he forgets about you when you stop chasing, he was never for you to begin with. That man was only around because of the attention you gave him, not the woman you are. And you don't want a man who's with you for the attention. You want a man who's with you because he sees your heart, your mind, you value a man who respects your presence even when you're not texting him 24/7. That's the kind of man you deserve. And the only way to know if he's that kind of man is to detach. You got to give him the space to step up. And if you don't, if he falls off, gets quiet, plays games, then thank God for the clarity. Because now you're not wasting your time. Now you're not building a future with somebody who doesn't know how to show up. That detachment is your filter. It's how you separate the boys from the men. It's how you protect your energy, your peace, your heart. Now listen, I'm not saying be cold. I'm not saying be rude. I'm saying know who you are. Know that your love is a gift. Your time is a gift. Your body, your attention, your peace. All of that is valuable. And when you treat it like it's valuable, men will too. But if you hand it out like it's nothing, don't be surprised when they treat it like it's nothing. That's not harsh. That's just human nature. See, men are simple in a lot of ways. We want what we believe we had to earn. We don't want what's handed to us without effort. That's why the girl who disappears and focuses on her own life becomes the one we miss the most. Because we couldn't control her. We couldn't manipulate her with attention. She was whole before we came around, and she'll be whole if we leave. Now that's attractive. So when a man sees that you're not clinging, not depending, not constantly needing him to reassure you, he starts to wonder, why doesn't she need me like the others? And then curiosity turns to interest. Interest turns to effort. Effort turns to pursuit. And that's when a man starts acting right. That's when a man grows up. Because the presence of a high-value woman will either inspire a man to rise or it will expose his immaturity. The way you win. But only if you detach. You don't chase after love. You stand still in your worth and let love recognize you. Let me tell y'all something right now, and I hope you hear me loud and clear. Men are wired to pursue. That's how God made us. That's how we operate. We chase, we hunt, we go after what we want. That's not just in relationships. That's in life. A real man ain't waiting around for opportunities to knock on his door. He out there grinding, sweating, building, chasing his dreams. And when it comes to love, it ain't no different. We want to feel like we earned a good woman, that we chose her, and she chose us back. Not that she jumped in our lap before we even made a move. See, a lot of women get this twisted. Somewhere along the way, somebody told y'all that if you want a man, you got to show him you care first. You got to be all up in his face, be the one always calling, always texting, always checking in. And I know it's coming from a good place. You're just trying to show love. But what you're actually doing is turning yourself into the chaser. And men don't respect that dynamic. We just don't. It flips the script on our natural design. When you chase a man, you rob him of the thrill. You rob him of the motivation to step up and prove himself to you. That pursuit is where his intention is revealed. That's how you know if he's serious or not. See, any man can say sweet things. Any man can enjoy your company when you're making it easy. But only a man who wants you will do the work to keep you. And if you're doing his part and your part too, baby, he's not going to value you. He's going to take you for granted. That's just real talk. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying ignore a man or be mean or play mind games. I'm not into all that manipulative nonsense. I'm saying stop chasing. Stop positioning yourself as the one who's trying to prove you're worth his time. You already are worthy. You ain't got to prove it. If he can't see that from how you carry yourself, then let him keep walking. The right one won't need a billboard. He'll recognize quality when he sees it. When a man is interested, you won't have to guess. You won't have to wonder. You won't be sitting by the phone waiting for a text, because he'll show up. He'll initiate. He'll make plans. He'll check in. Not just because he likes you, but because his nature tells him to pursue what he wants. But when a woman starts doing all the work, the calls, the gifts, the plans, the validation, she removes the need for him to do anything. And let me tell you something. When a man doesn't have to work for something, he doesn't treasure it. That's why you see so many good women crying over men who treat them like an option. It's not because those women weren't enough. It's because they didn't require enough. They were too available too soon, and that man never had to grow, never had to step into his full role as a man. Let me give you an example. You ever see a lion chase his prey? That lion doesn't sit around waiting for the zebra to walk up and say, "Here I am." Nah. That lion spots it, calculates, waits for the right moment, and then he goes after it with full force. Now imagine that same zebra just flopped down in front of the lion and said, "Go ahead, eat me." You think the lion's going to be excited, proud of the hunt? No. Because the challenge is gone. The chase is what activated the lion. It's what made him lock in. Men are the same way. We don't want what jumps into our lap. We want what makes us rise to the occasion. Now, some women hear that and say, well, Steve, if I don't chase him, he'll move on to someone else. And to that I say, good, let him. Because if he walks away when you stop chasing, then he was never your man in the first place. He was just enjoying the free ride. And you don't need to keep chasing somebody who wouldn't walk across the street for you. The right man, the one who's serious, is not going to get scared off by your standards. He's going to respect them. In fact, he's going to rise to meet them. Because deep down, every good man wants a woman who makes him work a little. Not because it's a game, but because he knows she's not out here giving herself to just anybody. She's selective. She's confident. And when she finally says yes, it means something. So hear me clearly when I say this. Don't reverse your role. Don't step into the man's shoes trying to make things happen. Stand in your feminine strength. Hold your ground. And let him come to you, because when a man has to pursue you, and I mean really pursue you, he invests. And what a man invests in, he protects. What he works for, he keeps. Let him pursue you. And if he won't, that's your answer right there. Let me tell you something about detachment, ladies. I'm not talking about being cold. I'm not talking about being distant or playing hard to get. I'm talking about a woman choosing peace over confusion. That's what detachment really is. It's about stepping back so you can see the situation clearly, without all the noise, without all the emotions, without being clouded by somebody who's not sure about you. You know what clouds your judgment the most in a relationship? Hope. That hope that maybe he'll change, that maybe he's going through something, that maybe he just needs more time. That kind of hope will have you hanging on to a situation that's already shown you the truth a long time ago. And when you're all wrapped up in a man, when you're all in emotionally, you stop seeing what's really going on. You start making excuses. You start justifying the bare minimum. You start settling. But when you detach, when you step back and breathe, that's when the fog lifts. That's when you start to see what you've been missing or what you've been ignoring. And sometimes it's a painful truth, but it's still the truth you need. Detachment brings clarity because it gives you space to reflect without desperation. It gives you time to see whether this man is for you or just convenient, whether he's showing up or just sticking around. You'd be surprised how many women are in relationships they wouldn't even want if they had the courage to step back and look at it objectively. But you can't see the picture when you're standing in the frame. You've got to back up to see the whole thing. Now, a lot of women fear detachment because they think it means giving up. But that ain't true. You're not giving up. You're gaining perspective. You're not walking away forever. You're walking into a better understanding of what you truly need and deserve. Because when you're emotionally tied up in someone who's inconsistent, emotionally unavailable, or just plain not ready, your peace is the first thing to go. You're constantly wondering, constantly second guessing, constantly hoping he'll change. That's exhausting. That's draining. And that's how you lose yourself. But when you detach, you regain your power. No, I ain't saying it's easy. No, detaching from someone you care about, that hurts. Especially when you had high hopes. Especially when you saw potential. But let me tell you this. Potential without action is just a dream. You can't build a life with a dream. You need a man who shows up, not one you have to keep imagining into the man you want him to be. Detachment helps you see the difference between who he is and who you're hoping he'll become. And when you see that difference, you stop wasting your time. See, when you're too close, your heart will lie to you. It'll say he's just stressed, or he's not that bad, or maybe it's me. But when you take a step back, when you get quiet, when you put the phone down, when you stop chasing, stop texting, stop explaining yourself, that's when the truth speaks. That's when you realize you've been holding on to someone who let go of you a long time ago. Or maybe he never really had you in the first place. And don't underestimate the power of silence. When you detach, you stop sending the message that says, I'll stick around no matter what. You start sending the message that says, I value myself too much to beg for love. That silence speaks volumes. And if a man doesn't notice you're gone, if he doesn't feel your absence, if he doesn't step up, then baby, he was never invested to begin with. And if he does feel it, if your absence makes him rethink how he's been moving, good. That's what it was meant to do. Sometimes a man won't realize what he has until he's faced with the reality of losing it. And I don't mean you detach just to get a reaction. I mean you detach to get peace. And if he wakes up along the way, that's a bonus. But don't do it for the reaction. Do it for your sanity. You have to give a man room to miss you, room to reflect, room to ask himself, what am I doing? Why did she stop reaching out? That's where his clarity comes in too. Men don't always process things the way women do. Sometimes we don't think twice as long as we know you're still there. But when you step back without attitude, without drama, we feel that shift. And that's when we start looking at ourselves and asking the right question. But even if he doesn't wake up, you do. You wake up to the fact that your time is valuable, your energy is precious, your love ain't cheap, and you stop tolerating halfway effort, broken promises, or emotionally unavailable men. Detachment brings clarity, and clarity brings healing. And when you start seeing things for what they are, not what you wish they were, that's when you start making decisions that protect your heart instead of constantly breaking it. Hollywood, you get to choose again. And this time, you choose. Let me tell you something that a lot of people don't want to admit. Emotional independence is one of the sexiest things a woman can have. I'm talking about that kind of strength where a woman doesn't fall apart every time a man acts funny. The kind of self-respect that doesn't let her beg for love, chase attention, or compromise her standards just to be chosen. That kind of woman, she's a magnet. She walks in a room and don't even have to say much. Her energy speaks. You can tell she ain't looking for validation. She is the validation. That's attractive. That's rare. Now listen, a lot of women confuse emotional independence with not needing a man at all. That ain't what I'm saying. I'm saying a woman who wants love but doesn't need it to function, that's the difference. A woman who knows how to be happy on her own, who has her own peace, her own life, her own goals, she becomes irresistible to the right kind of man. You see, when a woman is emotionally independent, she doesn't come to the table empty, hoping a man will fill her cup. Her cup is already full. She comes to share, not to be rescued. And that scares off boys, but it inspires men. Let's get this straight. No man wants to be your entire reason for being happy. That's a burden, not a relationship. A real man wants to add to your joy, not be the only source of it. When you're emotionally dependent, you give away your power. You start letting a man determine how you feel, how you see yourself, how you move through the day. That's too much control to hand over to anybody. And most times when you do that, the man ends up losing respect, because whether we say it out loud or not, men respect women who respect themselves. An emotionally independent woman, she don't fall apart when he don't text back. She don't blow up his phone. She don't go into panic mode when he pulls away. Why? Because she knows she's still good. She knows her value doesn't change based on somebody else's behavior. She knows that any man who doesn't recognize what she brings to the table wasn't meant to eat there in the first place. And let me tell you this, when a man sees that you can stand on your own, when he sees that you're not desperate for attention, not begging for love, not needing him to complete you, it shifts the way he moves. He knows he can't come at you with games, inconsistency, or half-truths. He knows you won't tolerate it. Why? Because he can see that you're whole already. You ain't out here trying to build your identity around a man. And that kind of confidence is sexy because it's rare. And I know some of y'all have been told, oh, you're too strong, too independent. But listen, don't let nobody shame you for having standards. Don't let them make you feel bad for not tolerating nonsense. The right man won't be intimidated by your strength. He'll be drawn to it. Because real men want a partner, not a project. They want someone who can hold her own, someone who's secure, someone who won't fall apart the moment things get tough. That doesn't mean you never lean on him. That doesn't mean you don't show vulnerability. It means your identity isn't tied up in whether or not he's giving you attention that day. Emotional independence means you love yourself enough to walk away from anything that threatens your peace. You don't stay in situations just because you're scared to be alone. You don't entertain confusion just because you want to feel wanted. You know what you deserve, and you don't settle for anything less, even if that means being single for a while. And let me tell you, that's not a loss. That's preparation. That's alignment. That's you clearing the path for the right person to come in. And when he does, he's going to be grateful he found a woman who doesn't need him but chooses him. Because choice, that's real love. Not dependency, not fear, but a decision. A decision to share life, not be consumed by someone else's presence. A woman who's emotionally independent is also dangerous in the best way. She can't be manipulated with silence. She can't be guilt-tripped into staying. She doesn't fall for potential without action. She'll give a man love, support, and loyalty,